My name is Hermann Meyer, and I'm welcoming you to the fourth edition of the 4NewMobility Leadership Talk. Today, our guest was Mohammed Hikmet. Mohammed Hikmet is the owner and the executive chairman of HMI Technologies and Ohmio. He was the Entrepreneur of the Year of New Zealand in 2019. And for many years, he was also a highly regarded member of the board of directors of the ITS World Congress. I'm so excited about this interview because in this interview, Mohammed explained to me how he developed a globally successful company out of nothing, together with a team which he calls his family. And this, I believe, makes this person special as a leader driving forward the agenda of new mobility.
Welcome, Mohammed. I'm very, very happy to see you after, I think, many years. So great to have you here. How is the weather in New Zealand?
Well, it's winter here, so it's different. I just came from Riverside and London, Riverside, California, where it was 40 degrees, and here it's 11, rainy.
Yeah, but maybe 11 degrees is better than 40 degrees, yeah. But I'm in a lucky situation. I'm in Regensburg, yeah, the sun is shining, it's really beautiful. So it's really great to have you in this interview. Thank you for accepting it. Yeah, I'm really excited to have this conversation with you because I'm a big admirer, yeah, of I think your life story and what you have achieved, yeah, and maybe we can dig a bit deeper into it, yeah, learn something. Thank you for this opportunity, Mohammed.
Thank you, Herman. I'm an admirer too to you, what you have done, and I wish we could talk about this sometime. Your history and what you have done at the World Congress level was so influential, really directed everyone on the world in a different direction when it was a bit challenging. I admire your leadership there, how you managed to lead the World Congress and the meetings of the board of directors. And I think all my colleagues share with me this view. So it's very good to see you too, Herman. And likewise, I admire what you have done.
Thank you, Mohammed. Very kind. Thank you. Mohammed, maybe we start with your life, yeah, to learn a bit more about how everything started, because I think it's very interesting, yeah, to see the origin of your company. And I would like just to give you a bit of space, yeah, to tell the audience a bit about yourself, your family, your company.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'll go very quickly. After really a long war, and I'm originally from Iraq, and after a long war, me and my family managed to get out of Iraq in 1991. And then by then we were not allowed to take anything with us, but they left one very important thing. They left the brain. They allowed us to take our brains out, which was the most valuable thing. I'm glad they didn't take that and leave something else. So spent 5 years in Jordan, then migrated to New Zealand, where New Zealand was a different story. It's a real nice home that allowed you to do everything. And in my opinion, if you don't do this, if you can't do something there, then you have no excuse. You have to really be who you want to be because everything is there. A nice country, nice people, nice environment, peaceful, friendly, helpful. Every good word I could say. and moved to New Zealand when it was really difficult to move anywhere else. One of the very few places that allowed us to come here. We came by the skills. So skills migrated with the skills and arrived here now after maybe almost 30 years. I go many places around the world, and if I get to choose, I will choose New Zealand again to come back here. It's so good place. However, when we say New Zealand, that means we are away from the world, away from the traffic, away from people. We are just only a small country with 5 million, away from the finance institutes, away from where the technology is happening. We are, the center of gravity is somewhere else in the world. But we really have these really valuable and good things that are available here, which allows us to innovate, allow us to move on, and that's really, really great. So back to the story, I've managed to, myself and my brother Ahmed, together we co-founded HMI Technologies in 1999, 2000. It started as Hikmet computers. We were just doing computers, but at the same time, we were doing some really other stuff. And one day someone came to us and said, I have a PLC that's responsible for production of a big machine, fast-going machine. You are not allowed to change the program, but I would like you to interface to give me some information about what's happening inside. We took the challenge. That was the first time that we worked day and night. We found that the programming port is available for us to pick up the information that we require without affecting his program. So we did it, but to get it out, we made a display as well to show the information. The person came in and he was interested in the display more than what we have done in the program. And from there, we started to really get some interest in the displays that we were doing and started to do that. And that, to cut the story short, ended up to a big VMS on the motorway. And now most of what you see in New Zealand and Australia, it's an HMI sign. So we became an infrastructure company that makes sense.
And therefore you called it HMI, yeah, because it was very much focusing on this human-machine interface.
Absolutely, yes. That's
okay.
HMI, and HMI looks one to the other. Now, in 2015, we sat down and said, okay, we are doing signs that communicating with drivers, human-machine interface. Now we have the autonomous vehicles coming in, and there are no drivers. What are the future of our signs? And we wanted to be part of the change rather than being swept by the change to go high. So we decided to bring some, or to buy some a vehicle to try. We've partnered with Christchurch Airport, and we bought a vehicle at that time. While buying it, it was not there yet. We had a request from Sydney to do a similar trial, another request from Melbourne to do the same one. So we ended up with 3 vehicles, buying 3 vehicles to have them all to be one of the largest trials at that time. And that was really a nice, exciting thing to do. While we were preparing for this, we were talking to the supplier, and we said, okay, now we have the vehicle, we would like to communicate with the traffic light, we would like to communicate with the infrastructure, with our signs, because that was the original idea. We wanted to have something that would ready to put it inside an ecosystem, not as a product. And we've been told at that time, no, you are not allowed to touch it. This is a product, you take it as is. And that was the biggest disappointment that we have. We've spent a lot of money there to invest in this. And then we found that we can't really do what we wanted to do there. We went out and looked around the world for someone who could fulfill this requirement and give us something that would sit as a part of an ecosystem, not as a product. We didn't find anyone. So we decided to make, one day we sat down, I said, let's make it. Let's make the vehicle. And this is how Ohmio started, which is a company that makes the vehicle. And if you look at Ohmio, you see it's HMI with two wheels from the side, two O's. So we added wheels to HMI. So HMI now moving, and here becomes Ohmio, which is I wouldn't call it a shuttle. I wouldn't call it a vehicle. I would call it a part of the ecosystem, which consists of the infrastructure and the vehicle itself and the control system. These are the three parts that we identify. And we look into this formula when we go out. This is our story, short.
But when you talk, that I find very interesting, when you talk now about this ecosystem, yeah, and when you talk about the aspect of the infrastructure, what exactly do you mean with the infrastructure?
Okay, so the vehicle, it's everything around the vehicle apart from the vehicle itself. So when we talk about the vehicle, you cannot really ignore charging. You cannot ignore cybersecurity. You cannot ignore green energy, sustainable energy. You cannot ignore many things that you find that the vehicle interacts. So you are introducing an ecosystem, and that ecosystem micro ecosystem will interact with the larger one, which is the control and the infrastructure there. When you're talking about, and this is the way that we look into how Ohmio gets in and how it interact with the environment around it. We see that there's a virtual world of roads and networks, traffic lights, pedestrian crossing, and everything there's a virtual world in parallel to the real world that we have. We used to use the real world. These equipment are using the virtual world and the real world together. And we need to invest in building that virtual world as much as we do with the old one. And so, for example, if a city wants to dig, and they need to check for the services, which they do now, if there are under pipes in their sewage system, or cables, gas pipes, or anything, and they would like to make sure that they don't interact with that. With the new system, they need to check if they are interacting with the virtual world as well. If there is a track for a vehicle that's coming in, because the vehicle is a tram following virtual tracks. If you're going to dig somewhere, that virtual track is going to be affected. So we need to stitch the two worlds together and start to look at them as a complete world. Augment one to the other. I don't know whether that's
I remember when, I don't know how long ago it was, but I think it's maybe now 10, 12 years ago, yeah, that we also spoke about, and you introduced me to Ohmio and showed me the vehicle, and we discussed the topic. And there you told me, Herman, I mean, there's a window of 5 years, window of opportunity of 5 years, yeah, for this, yeah, and then it's gone, yeah, because then the big OEMs come. That was my understanding, yeah, that you see that there is then a different competitive situation. Has this changed, or did this materialize? How do you see the situation? Because I see at the moment that there is a lot happening concerning autonomous mobility, yeah, but we still also have the shuttle services. We have Ohmio. I think it's very successful, yeah. So how do you see it?
came to a very interesting and important point. It is the future of autonomous vehicle, how it moves and what technology is affecting. We have on one side the technology moving so fast. We deal with technology changes maybe in every 6 months. In 6 months, we see new things that we need to implement and have things over there. But at the same time, we have a parallel world, which is the existing world. We have people that are driving normal vehicles with human drivers, and we need to deal with that. So whatever the technology push forward with the new capabilities, we have another side of it, which they need to really live alongside with a human being driving a vehicle, making errors and violating the traffic, the road code. So, and what makes it even more challenging, we see a world that is not willing to compromise anything that involves autonomous vehicles. We know that there are 1.3 deaths per year related to the transport. Nobody mentioned anything. You go and look at it, it's not mentioned anywhere in the world. Autonomous vehicle get hit by another vehicle. So if it's parked and another vehicle come and hit autonomous vehicle, next day it's in the news everywhere around the world. So we are not yet ready to accept that this is a new system, and there could be some errors there. There could be some learning, and we are introducing a new entity to a new environment, and that the two environments going to interact with each other. We need to be ready to see how to fix this, how to really let that go in. And this is the challenge. This is the challenge that we have there. So our challenge is less with the technology, but more to the environment around it and the old way of driving and the systems that are around us, and how to deal with that, how to interact with that. So we need to really see someone who cuts in front of us, someone who exceed the speed limit, someone who just ignore the stop sign. All these are algorithms and things we need to introduce to the vehicle to expect human errors that are surrounding it.
But you have a lot of experience now in the context of implementation and real world experiences in the context of the usage of automated shuttle vehicles and services. And you spoke about it's not so much a technical issue, it's very much about the environment, about the ecosystem. You spoke about aspects, for instance, of charging the vehicles, etc. But is there, in your opinion, are there some advices which you could give, for instance, to cities, how they can further advance on this topic? I mean, there are some cities, especially I think in the US and also in China, which allow already some degrees of some services concerning autonomous mobility. But is there something where you would say this is really crucial to understand and to implement, so that autonomous mobility also in a context of a city can move forward? Because that, I guess, is the most challenging environment for autonomous mobility.
True. And this is when, okay, let's look at ourselves. We started in 2015 to look at autonomous vehicles. What we knew about autonomous vehicles at that time is so different than what we know about them now. We've learned a lot. Every day is another day which we learn better than the day before. And that is so important for us. So important to learn so that we know how to tackle things, how to tackle challenges that are going there. And in my opinion, I see cities, entities like airports, city councils that are forward thinking, and they are trying to have hands-on on autonomous vehicles. The moment they put autonomous vehicle into the test, and they learn a lot, because there is another part of their systems, existing systems, that needs to interact with autonomous vehicles. I'll give you an example. When we started first, if you recall, I mentioned Christchurch Airport. That was 2015, where they wanted to do that. Christchurch Airport had 3 areas of income. One is from the airport itself, the other one from the retail and real estate, and the third one is from the parking. And they said parking is third of our income. If there will be autonomous vehicles, we need to understand how to deal with that. And then immediately they started to invest to know more about autonomous vehicles, know more about what is going on, what's happening. And in my opinion, that everyone needs to have hands-on. And there are, I don't think that we are yet at a point where I would say, okay, I'm taking all my fleet away and I'm introducing autonomous vehicles. We are not yet there. This is not something that we can, I don't think anyone with an open environment can implement now. But it can be implemented inside a closed environment, like an airport or like the airside or somewhere there. This is fine. It can be done. But if you are taking it outside where other people can be there, we are not ready yet. But who is the most ready? The most ready who are the entities or the organizations or the cities who said, we'd rather be ready. And they started to test them, and they can start to understand the interaction with their systems, rather than be surprised by what needs to be done, waiting for someone else to implement them, and then they just follow.
I would also like to understand a bit better now the relationship with the infrastructure, because my understanding is it will be important, certainly in the future, that also there's a communication, for instance, with traffic lights, so that an autonomous vehicle knows if it can go or it cannot go, and maybe can even foresee when it's allowed to go and not to go, and can adjust its speed. But do you think that also infrastructure will be important for the safety of the vehicles? Is this also something which you think in the future will be important, to have camera sensors, who monitor the driving of the vehicles and maybe provide data so that they can move in a more safe way? Or do you think that will not be needed in the future?
No, absolutely. You are very right. All our existing vehicles are based on a driver, sits on the driver's seat with his or her senses, goes with the eyes, that you can, whatever you can see and whatever you can hear or feel. This is the inputs to the driver in order to make decision about driving. At the moment, these inputs are limitless, because the vehicle is autonomous, so that through the connectivity, the vehicle can know what's happening in the other city as well while driving. So if there is a building at a corner and I'm coming from here and I cannot see this side, that's occluded to me. By having a sensor there, I don't need my eyes. I don't need the camera inside the vehicle. I can use the infrastructure to tell me whether it is safe to keep going at the same speed and cross the intersection, or wait because there is someone else coming from the other side. That's very valuable. That's very valuable from many points of view. The time that the vehicle spends, the energy it requires to do, and the safety as well, as you mentioned. So there are other things. Let's think about it. The vehicle needs to wait at a traffic light. If there's a traffic light, we need to wait on the red signal. However, it can also wait more at the bus station where it's charging. So if you know when the traffic light is going to turn green, you can synchronize the vehicle to spend few seconds more charging loading more passengers rather than just waiting at the traffic light. And that information comes by just interacting with the infrastructure. So we're going to have smart infrastructure. We're going to have renewable energy that's going to really put into the vehicles. We're going to care about new things like passenger kilometer, kilowatt spent really to get someone from one side to the other. These KPIs, we need to identify them, and then we need to improve them and move on to do that. And guess what? There are many in Europe, I see, and the States and in Korea even. We are seeing this has been implemented, and this is the direction that they are going. These are definitely much more ready cities rather than the other ones who are waiting for something to happen.
I mean, when you now look at the globe, yeah, which countries, regions, or cities do you think are most advanced on this topic? I'm sure you cannot cover all of them, yeah. So if someone one city may not be included, I hope they are not angry with us, yeah. But is there a tendency where you would say certain regions are more advanced in the context of, I would not even say maybe technology, yeah, because technology you can put anywhere, yeah, but in the context of providing the right ecosystem and providing also the right mindset, yeah, for the implementation of autonomous shuttle services or autonomous mobility in general?
I can say more related to the leadership. You'll see could be two adjacent cities. One of them has a leadership with forward thinking, and you'll see that this city is more interested into having autonomous vehicle, looking at how to implement them and to look at what the future would be happening with that, while the other city next to it has absolutely nothing to do with them. And it depends on I wouldn't classify it by country. I've seen this forward thinking even in the developed world. You'll see some cities, they are forward thinking, they are trying to do something, even they don't need to do it right now. They have a lot of labor that would allow them to drive the vehicle, so they are not in shortage of driving, and safety is not really on their priority. However, they keep thinking about that. So I would put it into the leadership and the forward thinking of the cities there, or the jurisdictions that are around there, and we see that in Europe. I see it in the United States, in Korea, in UK.
And is it that they come to you, or is it more that you come to the cities or to the airports and you address them, you make a pitch, and then maybe you find some interest, or is it by opportunities? Yeah, you meet someone at a congress and something comes out of it. How is it?
Autonomous vehicle, we say autonomous vehicles, but they are not autonomous vehicle full stop. There are autonomous vehicles where they are the OEM ones. This is like Tesla and the other ones, and this is where this is completely on a different path than what we are doing.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the public transport with shuttles with a level 4 low speed, and that the number of players like us are very limited, and you'll see that every tender around, most of the time the same group goes to the same tender. So we are not a big really crowd there. We are really limited number, and mainly I'm glad the client started to know what are the points of strength and the weaknesses for each one of us, and they know what is happening. For example, airports are coming more and more. We are getting interaction with airports. I won't name them. Some of them are not public yet, so I can't really tell who they are. But for example, at Schiphol Airport, at JFK, these are the two major airports. We have Christchurch that we have done before. And there are 3 or 4 more airports that we are, being approached by, and soon you will hear another major airport in Europe. So this is really a path that give us more experience. We are working on the air side. There are some challenges there, new method of working. I would say the work that we have done with Schiphol was really, really great. We've learned a lot, they've learned a lot, and the outcome was so amazing that we came up with new things that neither any one of us didn't really think that we're going to end up with this result. So now we reach a point where we can't really stop it. We would like to do more, because every month we move on, we see that, okay, now let's move the flag forward, and we would like to do something else. The same thing when you talk about JFK with the platooning, and we've done something that we were the first in the world where we had vehicles moving and accelerating together, 3 vehicles with just 1.8 meters apart. And doing at that time was almost 23 miles per hour, almost 37 kilometers per hour. That was impressive. Nobody have done that. We've done it together, and we are talking about the future dynamic capacity for autonomous vehicles.
Oh, I hear that cities are more and more starting public procurements. Yeah, so they know about all the advantages of these technologies for the citizens. Yeah, they're interested, and you are now a bit in a luxury situation that you respond to these public procurements. Yeah,
luxury is not the word I would choose. You still need to work so hard in order to get what needs to be done. But you are absolutely right. Before, 7 years ago, we talk about trials. Everyone talking about the trial. Now we are talking deployments. We are talking about tenders that really needs to get passengers from one place to another. We don't, trial is just in the past now. Now you need to prove a concept. We are seeing more and more clients who would like to achieve something. I'm talking about, for example, we have at CFL at Luxembourg, Belval, they want to move passengers, and this is a completely commercial and really service that they are providing to the passengers. The same thing is happening at Schiphol, where you see airline crew being taken from the airplanes to the airport. These are applications that is happening. This is not a trial. This is something that proof of the concept, proof that this is going to work. This is what needs to be done. JFK as well, and Riverside soon in California, and in Finland we have also, there is another deployment there. In Korea, they are doing impressive things. UK, actually, we have 6 vehicles now in the UK, and they are in Milton Keynes and Birmingham and other places. And all of them, they are talking about commercial applications to the vehicle, where the vehicle takes a good part in the public transport. This is not about, we have autonomous vehicles, we would like to show them to everyone else. This is about autonomous vehicles taking part in the public transport and taking really some of the responsibility there and moving passengers there. And this is, I think, an important role. It is not anymore a trial.
You were speaking at the beginning about you wanted to get into partnership with already producers of these autonomous shuttle vehicles, yeah, and that failed because they were not open for this thinking concerning there's a need for an ecosystem. But how important is it for you to have an ecosystem and to act within an ecosystem where you have connections also with other companies who provide certain technologies, or connections with companies focusing on the charging issue? Because I understand probably you need wireless charging. Yeah, I don't know how you do it. Yeah, but in the future, I could imagine that wireless charging will be important. Yeah, also considering the picture which you painted before. I mean, how important is it for you to have a kind of ecosystem, not only with customers, with city authorities, but also on a technical level, yeah, with other companies? Is this something which is important for you? You're open to it? You're looking forward to these corporations, or is it that mainly you focus on your own, you have your technical development, you have your customers?
I think you came into a very important point. This is how do we interact with the other part of the ecosystem. I mentioned ecosystem. What is the ecosystem? I'll just say, when you put the vehicle, it's just like this is the vehicle, and these are spikes where the areas of interaction with the ecosystem. One of them could be energy, the other one could be cybersecurity, the other one could be social, and so on. We have different ones. And then if you have another system, then it comes and sits on top of that one. If you look at my fingers there are interaction points between one hand and the other. Each one of them is an opportunity there. So when you're talking about charging, we are talking about first we're talking about renewable energy. We need to talk about how to get the charging to the bus stop or where the vehicle is going to charge. And then we are talking about technologies to move that charge from there to the vehicle. And then we're talking about technologies inside the vehicle to use that energy. Because when you talk about, for example, supercapacitors, you transfer the rapid charge to the vehicle, and then inside the vehicle, gradually you start to take it. But you just use that time. You've talked about wireless charging. How about the corridor or the road underneath the vehicle provide the charging while the vehicle is moving? Now let's think about further. We're talking about two vehicles. One is allowed to charge, the other one is not allowed to charge, moving on the same corridor. And when we start to look at this into the future, we are talking about, if you look at application like that, you need a very successful and big power company first. You need an autonomous company. You need a company with infrastructure technologies. You need technologies with power by proxy. You need technologies about communication that goes between the vehicle and the other one. You need induction technologies. The number of parties that's going to be involved in just one area, I'm only talking about charging, almost limitless. So whenever you are implementing those, you are opening the opportunity to many to come in. And these are all technologies that, what I like about our area about technology, it's much easier than anywhere else to say, I'm the first in the world to do this. Because you think about the future and you have the opportunity to do it. This is a very exciting thing to do. This is very nice to be in that position.
You now compare the challenges which you had at the beginning when you started a startup company and the challenges which you have now with a well-established company where you have office overall in the world. What would you say are maybe the three main challenges for a startup to get a company going? And what are the three main challenges which you have today where you have a well-established company?
So let's start from the small company where when you have a startup and to build that. I had with my case, I was a foreigner. I came from a different culture. I came from different mindset. understanding the client, understanding what is around me was one of the main challenges. It was never the technical. The technical was an advantage. It's a plus for us. We came from our thinking of manufacturing and computer and good programming and manufacturing skills that we had. So that was never the problem. The problem was how to fit into the new culture and get to the Kiwi mindset in New Zealand, to get people to understand people so that we can provide them with what we need. I'm from the Middle East. I'm from Iraq. Mainly could be the price is number one differentiator when you go to have a product to someone. When you come to New Zealand, price is number 3 or 4. It doesn't really matter. If you are in good relation with your client, they really value the other. They allow you to innovate. They allow you to add more value to it. While in the different culture, when price-oriented market, you need to take off from what you have put in and get the least out there so that you can compete with the price. So that was a big challenge, big difference between the mentality that we had. We had the mentality where I need to make everything cheap. Here I need to make everything very well. And there's so big difference between that. I believe understanding that was the key point of success to get there. But when
And
we
today,
go,
and today, what would you see today as your main challenges?
my main challenge now is the growth. The company need to grow to the world. If I keep really in the same mindset like we had when we were small, I'll bring the company down. I'll pull it down. So now you need to rely on directors around the world. They make their own decisions. They move on. They understand the client well, and you need to let go a lot of the control habits that we had when you are a small company, to grow, to let it go so that you allow the company to grow. And that is still a big challenge for us, because you need to put the right people. You need to ensure that the people that you assign there, you just not assign people and walk away from them. Really, if you ask me, what is the asset? What is the asset of Ohmio? What is the asset of HMI? I wouldn't say the technology. I wouldn't say the know-how. I won't say the IP. I won't say the product. None of that. There's one big asset that I have, is the team. It's the team that we have there. During COVID, we had we couldn't really see each other. I had to see Dean, our CEO. I've seen him maybe 2 years after COVID. 2 years we didn't see each other. We had to send vehicles that we didn't see, that vehicle being manufactured and sent to Korea without seeing the vehicles. That was a big challenge. But we only managed to do that because everyone was working like a family, like responsible, like a team. And that's the big value. That's the biggest payback for investment that we had. You had very good people that they look after you. Let me share with you this small story that I had. And when 2016, when we decided that we're going to do the vehicle, and we had a team there, and we proved the concept. We made small vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and the bank came in, and we said to the bank, we will need some money in order to move into this. And the bank laughed at us. They said, you are in New Zealand. You are a New Zealand company, tens of thousands of miles away from the world. Do you think that you are going to export vehicles from New Zealand? And that was, they laughed at us. They laughed at us. Because in 1996, when we took off the customs on the fees for import importing vehicles, the manufacturing or the assembly of vehicles, Toyota, Nissan, all the other manufacturers just closed in New Zealand. And that's it. 96 was the end of the production of vehicles in New Zealand. And since then, we take vehicles from around the world and we import a lot of used Japanese vehicles from Japan and other parts of the world. This is what the fleet that we have in New Zealand. So New Zealand is never known as a country who could export vehicles or to have manufactured vehicles. So for someone like myself to come in and say, I'm going to make vehicles, I'm going to export them, that was for them like a joke. Like they said to me, you are doing a good job with the VMSs, with the ITS equipment. Just keep going, do that. We'll support you with that. And at that time, I said, no, we've done this. We're going to continue to do it. I had really, something was in my head. I'm going to go this way. I'm not going to really deviate from there. So the bank was upset. They said, if you do it, we'll stop supporting you. And at that time, it was only the team that we have, the real asset that we had, who made us succeed. We had a brilliant team. We still have a brilliant team. I'm so proud of every one of them, and the success is them. It's not the money. It's not the leadership. It's not I can say a lot of things, but it's every individual person who formed the team carry the credit of the success of Ohmio and HMI.
But it's also your leadership who made this possible, to have this team. I mean, what do you think is important in the context of leadership, to create such a team and to succeed, It sounds so easy when you tell the story, but I don't think it's easy at all, What does it take?
You are calling it my leadership, then I'll call it my. What about Dean Zaprisak, our CEO leadership? Dean really based in Australia. All the Australian business is happening under his leadership, and I'm really remote from that. If it wasn't the leadership of Dean there and what he's been doing, we wouldn't succeed there. In Australia, there are directors for each jurisdiction. There's a person in Andrew Mahaffey, who we know also leading New South Wales. There's another person leading Queensland, and so on everywhere around the world. Robert Sikora doing Luxembourg and Europe. Ian Pulford, Zane taking the US. Each one of them, there's a leader everywhere, and with the leader, there's another team with other leaders that are going there. You need to allow for such culture to grow in order to succeed. You can't really keep holding things in your hand. This will bring down the company if you keep trying to control. That's what.
But Mohammed, at the beginning, you spoke about your journey, and you came from Iraq. You went to New Zealand, so you migrated into New Zealand. And I see that currently in this world, there's a lot of migration happening. Do you have an advice for countries where there is migration?
Okay, I came from Iraq. There were so many around me. I'm not the best person in Iraq. I'm a person who graduated from the university like millions other Iraqis. I'm just fortunate to be in an environment like New Zealand, where the country will provide me with what the means for success. And I'm so really I feel for the other people in Iraq and other places, because there could be around the world, these people who are involved in violence and involved in a lot of troubles around the world, how much of an opportunity they are missing. There is a good world there. There is a good things that they can create by themselves and reach maybe 4 or 5 or 10 times what I have reached. And imagine the number that employ under what I have created. This will create jobs, will create opportunities, will create a lot of good things, innovation, advance the world, will be for the good for the whole place. If we start to think this way, if we start to create entrepreneurs out of these places and allow them to improve their lives, allow them to improve what is around them, that would be the big success, I believe. Because, when I came out of where I was, the environment of, after 10 years of war, I left Iraq. And they continued with the war till now. That's 30 years. Till now, there's a lot of war. Many people died. They shouldn't die. Those people should be innovators. They should be contributors to the world. They should really allow to really have families. They earn good money, and they will. We as a world, we are losing them because they are not really given the opportunity to be who they should be. And I feel always I have a responsibility. I need to really make sure that at least I make, instead of myself, I've managed to get to where I am now. At least 5 or 10 people I'm responsible to make them or show them the way who they could follow or be even better than me from there. So this is where I'm thinking of. The world could be much better. Could be much better. It's just us. We need to really be responsible. When New Zealand took us and we had the opportunity to do what we are doing now, we should continue that legacy and allow others to really find the same opportunity and be who they are.
I would like to thank you very much for this interview, and I wish you a good continuation of the day. I think in your case it's evening, if I see it correctly.
Thank you so much, Herman. You've always been, for me, I've joined the World Congress, and you were in charge of Artico. They're one of the 3 leaders who led the World Congress. I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot about how to bring people together, people with differences, people with challenges there. And the way that you took this, and it was for me a learning curve to learn from you, learn from what you have done. It's always great to know you. Thank you.